Hey guys, it's Chloe. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. Today is another maintenance day for my Toyota Tacoma. Right now it's sitting at over 45,000 miles. It's just over 3 years old as well. And I've just got a bunch of different items I need to check off and get done today. And those being changing my rear diff oil. And since this truck is also a 4-wheel drive, changing the front diff oil as well. I don't really put this truck under heavy load and I don't tow with it, but with the mileage I'm currently at, it really is time to get this maintenance item done. I went to Toyota to get a quote on this, and if I recall, both the front and rear diff oil change individually were each $250. Yep. $250. So that would have been a total of $500 and maybe a little more if you're like me and had a skid plate that they needed to remove in the front to change the front diff oil. However, if you do this at home, this was the price I paid for oil and all the supplies. Far cheaper, but of course that's not factoring in the time you're gonna put in. But still, I love to save money and I also have fun working on my truck, so I'm going the DIY route today. Now this is of course not me saying you absolutely have to get this done yourself, but there is a big cost savings and it's actually a pretty easy maintenance item to do as well. And I personally generally really like Toyota service centers. I go to Toyota PB in San Diego and I've always had a good experience there. What's nice about the service centers is they top off fluids for free, they do multi-point inspections for free, and besides free Toyota care, I've gone to Toyota for bigger issues like transmission fluid changes because I, for example, not a mechanic, don't want to deal with the sealed transmission in this truck. So yeah, for bigger things like that, but for what we're doing today, we can pretty easily accomplish it in my garage, so let's get into it. So here are some of the things I'm going to be using today. A drain pan, of course, then of course our oil. Now, if you're doing the front and rear diff in these Toyota Tacomas, you'll need about 4 quarts, I believe, for the rear diff, and about 1.6 quarts, I think that's what the manual says, for the front diff. Now this is 75W90, and if you notice, the style of oil I have comes in a container like this, so you either need like a flexible funnel, or today I have this pump that I'm using. You'll also of course need a torque wrench, and then to remove the drain and fill plugs, I have my breaker bar as well.
Additionally, to remove the fill and drain plugs on the rear diff, you'll need a 24mm socket, and for the front, you'll need a 10mm hex socket.
And then behind me, I also have my Pro Eagle jack. I might use that to get a little more room under my truck to work. Alright, so a couple of quick tips before we get started on the rear diff oil change here. Now, these may sound obvious, but they're always good reminders. One, when you do this, make sure you're on a leveled surface so that you can accurately fill the right amount of oil. And two, we're going to remove the fill plug before we remove the drain plug. Now, I do this for 2 different reasons. One, to make sure I can even remove the fill plug first, because it would be bad if we drained all of our diff oil and then we couldn't get the fill plug off. And then the second reason is that it'll help drain the fluid.
Starting out with the rear diff, I think this is the easier of the two since I personally don't have to remove anything to give me access. However, I use my jack to lift the rear of the truck to give me a little more room to work with. Since the tires are on the ground, the differential will still be leveled so I can accurately fill it. Then I break the fill plug and remove it.
There's that crush washer I was talking about.
Then break the drain plug, which is the same size as the fill plug.
Now this is what I like to see on my drain plug. Obviously there's a magnet here and there aren't any big metal shavings. Minimal material, which is good.
I was happy to see very minimal metal shavings, plus the color of the oil is fairly clear, which indicates normal wear. Regardless, giving the gears fresh oil on a routine basis is still cheaper than dealing with swapping your third member prematurely. I put the drain plug back, torqued it to 36 foot-pounds, then started adding my oil using my pump. I'm not gonna lie, adding 4 quarts of oil using my $10 AutoZone pump was not the smoothest experience. I'd honestly recommend gear oil that comes in those pouches since there's some spillover with the pump. I've used the pouches before and it's just so much faster and mess free for the most part. Plus, if you're one person like me and using a pump, you have to try holding one end into the bottle and one end into the differential, which is really annoying, but eventually it worked for me. Still, the pouches are my preference. When I finished the 4th quart, the oil level was right to the bottom of the fill plug opening, which is perfect. So I put the fill plug back on and torqued it to 36 foot-pounds as well. So I had to remove my front skid to access the front diff, and yup, it's gross and I do need to clean it. It's very hard to see the fill plug where I'm pointing because I didn't realize how dark it was, but you can kind of see it where my ratchet is. The process is the same. Break that bolt using a 10mm hex socket. Then you can remove your drain plug and drain the oil using the same 10mm hex socket. Okay, so the drain plug for my front differential here had a little sludge, but I think that's normal for these Tacomas. And if we take a look again, when I first drained the front diff oil, it was pretty dark, but then it started running clear. I believe that the dark color found in my used oil is probably a combination of the oxidation of the oil and the metal particles that come from normal wear and mixed into the oil. But regardless, I'm changing the oil today, and it's a good thing that there are no large metal shavings here. The front here takes 1.6 quarts of oil, although I found I used like almost 2 quarts, but I did overfill it accidentally, so I just waited for the excess to drain before putting the fill plug back on. And I didn't have this film, but the drain plug should be torqued to 48 foot-pounds, whereas the fill plug only needs to be torqued to 29 foot-pounds. And honestly, that's all you need to do to change the front and rear differential oil in the Toyota Tacoma. Not bad, right?
So that's all there is to it. I hope this video helped out if you guys were looking at how to do this or you were following along. Changing your diff oil is definitely an important maintenance item, and luckily it's pretty easy to do. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to connect more with me, you can follow me on my Instagram. It is at ChloeKuoTaco. I post more in real time on there. But other than that, I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.